Did you know that some of the most ordinary daily habits could be quietly cutting years off your life? As we reach our 60s, 70s, and beyond, the real conversation about health begins to change, sometimes in ways we don't expect. Because often, living longer isn't about adding more routines, more supplements, or more effort. It's about knowing what to stop. As the years pass, we realize that health is not only about doing more, but also about doing less of what slowly harms us. And sometimes, the most powerful transformation doesn't come from what we begin, but from what we finally choose to let go of. In this video, we're going to explore 10 things that, if you simply cut back on them, could actually help you extend your life, improve how you feel day to day, and preserve the precious energy you need for the things that matter most. These changes aren't extreme. They're not based on quick fads or fear-driven advice. Instead, they're grounded in common sense, supported by years of medical research, and reinforced by the wisdom of experience. From small daily habits that quietly strain your body to mental patterns that slowly erode your peace of mind, these 10 things are surprisingly common, especially among older adults who often don't realize their impact. The truth is, sometimes the key to aging well isn't found in doing more, but in doing less of what wears you down. The encouraging news is that all of these habits are changeable, often with nothing more than a shift in awareness and a bit of courage to choose differently. If you've ever wondered why some people remain strong, sharp, and vibrant well into their 80s or even 90s, this could be part of the answer. Stay with me until the very end, because number 10 might completely change the way you see your own daily routines and even give you permission to live a little lighter starting today. Let's begin. Number 1, constant worry over small things. Worry has a sneaky way of slipping into your day without ever asking permission. A tiny what-if here, a passing doubt there. And before you know it, your mind is spinning in circles over events that already happened or situations that may never occur. A little concern is normal, of course, but when worry becomes constant, it transforms into a slow and silent form of harm. It affects your sleep, disrupts digestion, puts strain on your heart, and even weakens your immune system. And here's the truth. Most of the things we worry about never actually happen. After the age of 60, many people start to recognize just how much energy they've wasted on mental noise, worrying about what others might think, worrying about minor details that may go wrong, or obsessing over things completely out of their control. When that realization finally sinks in, something shifts. They begin to choose peace over panic, calm over chaos. It's not because the world suddenly becomes safe, but because they've decided their nervous system is worth protecting. Research continues to show that chronic stress can actually speed up the aging process. It shortens telomeres, the tiny caps on the ends of your DNA strands that directly affect how quickly your cells age. But even if you set science aside, you've likely felt the difference in your own body. The tightness in your chest, the knot in your stomach, or the restless mind that won't quiet down at night. And then there's that restless mind at 3 in the morning, tossing and turning, unable to truly rest. Letting go of constant worry isn't about becoming careless or indifferent. It's about becoming selective. You start asking yourself questions like, is this really mine to carry? Is this worth sacrificing my peace of mind? And slowly, step by step, you begin to build the muscle of redirecting your thoughts. You learn to choose calm in situations where the old version of you might have chosen chaos. People who live long, vibrant lives often share one thing in common. They've made peace with not being in control of everything. Instead of exhausting themselves over what they can't change, they place their focus on what they can influence. And for the things beyond their reach, they simply learn to breathe through them. That subtle shift, releasing the need for control, adds not just years to life, but life to the years. Number 2, sitting for long hours without movement. One of the sneakiest threats to our health as we age is something most of us hardly think twice about: sitting. Not just casual sitting here and there, but long, uninterrupted stretches of stillness. Whether it's hours spent in front of the TV, reading in a favorite chair, driving long distances, or even working at a desk, staying still for too long quietly slows down circulation, weakens muscles, and triggers inflammation throughout the body. It doesn't feel dramatic in the moment, but over time, the toll becomes very real. That's why doctors now refer to prolonged sitting as the new smoking. The evidence is clear. It has been linked to heart disease, diabetes, joint stiffness, and even premature death. And here's the surprising twist. Regular exercise alone doesn't erase the damage. You could go for a brisk morning walk, but if you spend the rest of the day sitting, the risks still accumulate. What matters more is not just how long you exercise, but how often you move throughout the day. Many older adults, especially those who are retired, slip into a rhythm that feels comfortable, even peaceful, but is quietly sedentary. A little television in the morning, meals eaten at the table, then more sitting in the afternoon, maybe even a nap. Before they know it, most of the day has passed with very little movement. And this isn't about laziness, it's simply a lifestyle pattern that gradually sneaks in. It becomes a habit. It feels like comfort. It's simply what the body has grown accustomed to over the years. But what the body truly needs is circulation, regular muscle activation, and small shifts in position to keep everything running smoothly. The good news is that even the simplest changes can make a big difference. Standing up every 30 minutes, doing a few light stretches in the kitchen while you wait for the coffee to brew, or taking phone calls while slowly walking around the room, these tiny adjustments reawaken the system. Just a few minutes of gentle movement every hour can dramatically reduce the risk of chronic conditions. People who live long, healthy lives often share one key behavior. They stay in motion, not necessarily by running marathons or spending hours at the gym every day, but by weaving movement naturally into the fabric of daily life. Gardening in the yard, climbing stairs instead of taking the elevator, moving with intention, and sometimes simply moving with joy. These subtle but steady actions keep the body flexible, the heart active, and the mind clear. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights meaningful, let me know by commenting number 2 below. And if you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss out on upcoming videos. Your support is what allows us to continue creating content that informs, guides, and inspires. Now, let's continue. Number 3, eating late at night. This is one of those habits that seems harmless at first, but can quietly place a heavy strain on your health. For decades, many of us were told that a little snack before bed was nothing to worry about. But both science and experience tell a different story. Regularly eating late disrupts digestion, spikes blood sugar, and interferes with the body's natural rhythm of repair. Your system needs time to wind down in the evening. After sunset, your metabolism naturally slows, and your organs shift from active mode into recovery mode. But when you eat late, especially heavy, greasy, or sugary foods, you force your body to stay in work mode all night long instead of resting. The result? Poor quality sleep, indigestion, and over time, a higher risk of weight gain, acid reflux, and even heart-related problems. What many people don't realize is that the liver and gut actually function best when they're given long periods without food, especially during sleep. That overnight fast is not just empty time. It's when your body detoxifies, rebalances hormones, and restores energy reserves for the day ahead. But when you keep eating late at night, you interrupt that natural cycle. The healing process is disrupted, and over time the effects begin to show up in very real ways. Foggy mornings, lower energy, increased inflammation, and even subtle changes in memory and mood. A simple shift, like finishing dinner at least 2 or 3 hours before lying down, can work wonders. Many people notice improvements in their sleep quality within just a few days. They wake up feeling lighter, more refreshed, and better rested. The interesting thing is that nothing new was added to their routine. They simply stopped doing one small habit that carried surprisingly big consequences. Longevity isn't always about chasing breakthroughs or discovering magic formulas. Often, it's about listening to the body's natural wisdom and giving it the rest it's asking for. The truth is, your body already knows how to heal itself. It simply needs the space and time to do that work. And stepping away from late-night eating is one of the gentlest yet most powerful ways to give your body that chance. Number 4. Suppressing your emotions. There is a kind of quiet damage that builds up after years of swallowing your feelings. For many older adults, especially those who grew up being told to be polite, strong, or self-controlled, this habit feels almost natural. It seems easier to keep the peace by keeping things inside. But the truth is, unexpressed emotions don't simply vanish. They settle deep into the body, and the cost of silence eventually shows up in ways that medicine alone can't repair. Chronic emotional suppression has been linked to elevated blood pressure, heart disease, insomnia, and even autoimmune conditions. When we bottle up grief, anger, resentment, or fear, the nervous system remains stuck in a constant low-level fight-or-flight state. The body stays tense, the heart beats faster, and the stress response becomes a background hum that never fully quiets down. This doesn't mean you need to become loud or confrontational. Instead, it means giving yourself permission to feel, to acknowledge what is real, and to speak it out in simple ways, saying, "That hurt," or "I need some space," or even, "I'm not okay right now." These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of vitality, proof that you're still engaged, still human, still growing. In fact, some of the longest living people share one key trait. They don't carry heavy emotions for too long. They release them, sometimes through conversation with a trusted friend, sometimes through prayer or journaling, or even with a quiet cry alone on the porch. They don't pretend to be unaffected. They allow emotions to move through them instead of staying trapped inside. And the result is powerful. You might be surprised by how much lighter you feel once you stop pretending you're fine when you're not. Your sleep deepens, your shoulders relax, your appetite balances, and life begins to feel easier to carry. Because when you begin making space for emotional honesty, your body responds with trust, and that trust reveals itself as better health, greater ease, and often even extra years added to your life. If you're still here watching and finding these insights meaningful, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're with us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss future videos. Your support truly helps us continue creating content designed to inform, encourage, and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5. Over-consuming processed sugar. Sugar has a way of sneaking into our lives almost unnoticed. A teaspoon in your morning coffee, a couple of cookies after lunch, a slice of cake at a family gathering. Each moment feels harmless on its own, but the cumulative effect can be far more damaging than we often realize, especially as we grow older. The less processed sugar you consume, the better your chances are of avoiding inflammation, memory loss, and chronic disease. As the years go by, metabolism naturally slows, and the body becomes more sensitive to the impact of sugar. What may not have caused visible harm in your 30s can now quietly disrupt your energy, trigger blood sugar spikes, and place extra stress on your heart, liver, and kidneys. And because sugar is addictive, it's easy to slip into a cycle of wanting more, even when your body is asking for less. The science is clear. Research has linked excessive sugar intake to conditions ranging from type 2 diabetes to dementia. Elevated blood sugar damages blood vessels, including the delicate ones in the brain, and accelerates cognitive decline. For many older adults, this shows up as increased forgetfulness, bouts of brain fog, or unexpected mood swings that make daily life feel more difficult than it should. But even cutting back a little can make a big difference. Reducing sugar leads to clearer thinking, steadier energy, and often better sleep. It's not about giving up everything sweet forever. It's about making smarter choices, like reaching for fruit or lowering added sugar in everyday foods such as cereals, sauces, and drinks. Sometimes, simply becoming aware of where sugar is hiding is enough to shift your habits. When you do, your body responds in powerful ways. Your taste buds gradually reset, and your overall vitality begins to return. Many older adults who cut back on sugar often say the same thing. I didn't realize how tired I had been until I stopped. That's because sugar may give you a quick rush, but it always takes away more than it gives. Choosing less sugar isn't about restriction, it's about restoration. It's about giving your body the chance to thrive, not just survive. And over time, those small decisions add up to more energy, greater clarity, and quite possibly, more years of healthy living. Number 6. Ignoring sleep signals. One of the most overlooked but powerful contributors to a longer, healthier life is also one of the simplest: sleep. And not just sleep in general, but truly listening to your body's natural signals when it's asking for rest. Far too many older adults push through drowsiness, stay up late watching television, or throw off their natural rhythm with inconsistent sleep schedules. In the moment, it may feel harmless, even routine, but the long-term impact on your health can be significant. Sleep is not just about waking up refreshed. It's the time when your brain clears away waste, your tissues repair, and your hormones rebalance. Every single system in your body benefits from consistent, quality sleep. And as you get older, this becomes even more critical. When you repeatedly ignore your body's cues, staying up long past the point of tiredness, eating late at night, or letting screens keep your mind overstimulated, you rob yourself of the deep cellular restoration your body is designed to perform. There's a common myth that we actually need less sleep as we age, but the truth is very different. Older adults often end up getting less sleep not because their need has decreased, but because they stop honoring the natural patterns that make restful sleep possible. Bright lights late at night, caffeine too late in the afternoon, or a restless mind crowded with unfinished thoughts. All of these interfere with the gentle transition into deep rest that the body craves. Listening to your body's signals can be as simple as noticing when your eyelids begin to feel heavy in the evening, or when your concentration starts to slip. That's your body's way of saying, "It's time." And when you respond with care, by dimming the lights, creating a calm environment, turning off distractions, and getting into bed while your body is ready, you slowly rebuild a healthier relationship with rest. This habit becomes a foundation that supports you well into your later years. People who live long, healthy lives often share one trait: strong sleep habits. Not rigid schedules set by the clock, but rhythms they respect and honor. They don't see sleep as an inconvenience that gets in the way of living. They treat it as sacred, as essential as food or water. And when you begin to view rest this way, you'll likely notice powerful changes: more steady energy during the day, better digestion, sharper memory, and even a stronger immune system to fight off illness. It's not about striving for perfection, it's about being intentional, about noticing the whispers your body gives you and having the wisdom to listen before those whispers turn into shouts. If you're still here watching and finding these insights valuable, let me know by commenting number 6 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 7. Isolating yourself from others. There's a quiet danger in isolation, and it doesn't always appear the way you might expect. It's not just about being physically alone in a room. It's about going days without a real conversation that nourishes you. It's about pulling back when you most need support. It's about convincing yourself that keeping to yourself feels easier than reaching out. But the longer you remain in that pattern, the more it affects not only your mood, but also your physical health, and even your lifespan. Research has shown that social isolation is strongly linked to higher rates of depression, faster cognitive decline, and even increased risk of early death. In fact, prolonged loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking or carrying excess weight. And yet, loneliness often goes unnoticed. Why? Because it's easy to disguise. It's easy to say, "I'm just tired," or "everyone is busy," or "I've gotten used to being on my own." But deep down, even the most independent among us are wired for connection. Human beings are not meant to carry life entirely alone. Especially in the second half of life, we need moments of shared connection, even if they're small. A short walk with a neighbor, a phone call with a friend, or a chat with someone in the grocery store. These may seem simple, almost insignificant, but they carry real weight. They remind you that you matter, that your voice is heard, and that you are still a part of something much larger than yourself. After 60, many people find themselves entering a quieter season of life. Children are grown, careers have slowed down, and the familiar routines that once filled each day begin to shift. In that quiet, it's easy to start fading away from community without even realizing it. But this is exactly when connection matters the most. And the beauty is, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just a handful of steady relationships, a few regular conversations, can make an enormous difference in the way your brain functions, in how your immune system responds, and in how deeply you're able to feel joy. People who age well aren't necessarily surrounded by big crowds or endless social events, but they aren't disconnected either. They make the effort to stay in touch. They pick up the phone even when it feels a little awkward. They say yes to the invitation even when part of them wants to decline. They check in on neighbors or friends, and in doing so, they not only add years to their life, but they also add more life to their years. So if you've been pulling back, consider this a gentle reminder. Someone out there is probably hoping to hear from you today. And sometimes, just one meaningful interaction is all it takes to calm your nervous system and remind you that you are not alone. Number 8. Rushing through meals. In today's fast-moving world, eating slowly can feel almost like a lost art. But once you're past 60, how you eat becomes just as important as what you eat. Rushing through your meals, grabbing food while standing, eating while distracted, or finishing in a hurry doesn't just affect your digestion. It can also cause overeating, poor nutrient absorption, and increase the risk of chronic issues like heartburn, bloating, and unwanted weight gain. When you eat too quickly, your body simply doesn't have the time it needs to send the signal that you're full. That means you may end up consuming more than your body really needs before your brain has a chance to catch up. And for older adults, this becomes especially tricky. With age, metabolism naturally slows down, and digestion becomes more delicate. A heavy meal eaten too quickly can leave you feeling sluggish, uncomfortable, and may even disrupt your blood sugar levels for hours afterward. But there's something deeper here as well. Meals aren't just about fuel. They are moments of pause, opportunities to check in with your body, your emotions, and even the simple joys of daily life. When you eat slowly, you engage all of your senses. You notice the flavors, the textures, the warmth of the food in front of you. You also chew more thoroughly, which makes your gut's job much easier. You give yourself a chance to breathe between bites, allowing your nervous system to settle instead of staying on high alert. Slowing down at the table isn't about being fancy or formal. It's about being kind to your body. It's a way of telling yourself, I'm not in a race. And that mindset doesn't just stay at the table. It carries over into your sleep, your stress levels, and even your ability to feel present rather than constantly chasing productivity. People who live long, healthy lives often approach meals with a sense of reverence. They don't see eating as something to rush through, but as something to savor. Whether they're alone or sharing food with others, they give themselves the gift of time. Time to reflect, time to digest. Not just the food on their plate, but the experiences of the day. So if you've fallen into the habit of eating on autopilot, try an experiment. Add just 5 more minutes to your next meal. You might be surprised at how different you feel when you give your body that extra care. Sit down, take a deep breath, and set your fork down between bites. You may discover that slowing down at the table actually helps speed up your healing. It's one of the gentlest, yet most powerful habits you can build for a longer, more nourished life. Number 9. Staying in toxic environments. One of the hardest but most valuable lessons we learn as we grow older is that peace of mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And yet, so many people spend years, sometimes even decades, remaining in environments that quietly drain them. It could be a relationship that constantly leaves you feeling small, a social circle where criticism and gossip dominate the conversation, or even a household where conflict lingers like a shadow just beneath the surface. Whatever the situation, the body keeps score. The longer you stay in those spaces, the more your health begins to show the cost. Toxic environments don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes it's the subtle tightening in your chest when you walk into a room. Sometimes it's the way you brace yourself before speaking with someone. Other times, it's the restless sleep, the sudden loss of appetite, or the quiet tension you can't quite explain. Over time, repeated exposure to that kind of emotional stress raises cortisol levels, weakens your immune system, and gradually increases the risk of long-term conditions, hypertension, digestive problems, and even anxiety-related disorders. After 60, your tolerance for these draining environments often begins to fade, not because you've grown weaker, but because you've grown wiser. You begin to understand that true longevity isn't built only on diet or exercise. It's also shaped by atmosphere, by the emotional climate you live in every day. And sometimes, the most important health choice you can make has nothing to do with what's on your plate, and everything to do with who you spend time with and how you feel when you're there. Making a change doesn't always mean walking away completely. Sometimes it's about speaking up, setting firmer boundaries, and carving out space for yourself even within a difficult situation. But in many cases, it does mean letting go of roles you've outgrown, relationships that no longer serve you, or places that no longer feel like home. People who age well tend to create surroundings that are calm, supportive, and emotionally safe. They understand that healing happens more quickly in peace than in tension, and they are not afraid to choose solitude over hostility or stillness over unnecessary drama. If something in your life feels toxic, pay attention to that feeling. That discomfort isn't a sign of weakness, it's a signal of wisdom. It's your body and spirit saying, "We can't thrive here anymore." And the less time you spend in environments that drain you, the more room you create for healing, for clarity, and for building a life that feels truly livable. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 9 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you won't miss any of our future videos. Your support is what allows us to continue creating content that informs and inspires. Now, let's move forward. Number 10. Overusing alcohol or self-medication. As we get older, the body becomes more sensitive to everything we put into it, and that includes alcohol, over-the-counter medications, and even certain herbal remedies. What once seemed harmless, a nightly glass of wine, a pill to help you sleep, or something small to take the edge off, can begin to have far greater effects on your liver, your brain, and your overall vitality. No one ever sets out to harm themselves, but the habit of reaching for a quick fix, repeated over time, can quietly grow into a pattern that shortens not only your lifespan, but also the quality of the years you have left. Alcohol, in particular, affects older adults in ways that are often underestimated. As muscle mass naturally decreases and water balance in the body shifts, alcohol is processed more slowly than it once was. A single drink that might have felt mild and manageable in your 40s can now hit much harder. Reaction times slow, sleep becomes more fragmented, blood pressure quietly creeps upward, and perhaps most concerning of all, these changes are easy to overlook until the warning signs are undeniable. It may show up as a sudden fall, more frequent lapses in memory, or a doctor raising a red flag at your next checkup. The same concerns apply to sleep aids, pain relievers, or anti-anxiety pills when they're used without close medical supervision. They can provide temporary relief, but over time, frequent use begins to take a toll. They may cloud your thinking, weaken your balance, or place extra strain on your liver, kidneys, and other vital organs. And what begins as an occasional habit can quietly grow into a dependency, a pattern that leaves you feeling more tired, more foggy, and more vulnerable than before. Choosing to cut back doesn't mean you can never enjoy a glass of wine again, or that you should avoid important medications your doctor prescribes. It means becoming more mindful, more deliberate, and more aware of how your body is responding. It's about asking yourself honestly, is this helping me heal, or is it only helping me avoid? And more often than not, the answer points towards seeking healthier ways to relax, to unwind, and to restore balance in your life. A walk, a warm bath, or a meaningful conversation. These are the kinds of things that not only soothe your system, but truly nourish it. People who live long, steady lives often choose less, not more. They don't rely on substances to regulate their mood or to force their body into rest. Instead, they work in harmony with their body rather than pushing against it. That choice, made day after day, helps preserve not just their years, but their clarity, their independence, and their sense of joy. So if something in your life has become a habit that no longer feels helpful, remember, it's never too late to pause and reevaluate. Not from a place of shame, but from a place of deep respect. Respect for the life you still have ahead of you, and for the health and strength you are working to protect. Final thoughts. As we bring this video to a close, I want to invite you to take a quiet moment and reflect. Which of these 10 habits shows up in your own life most often? Which one feels familiar, not because it serves you, but because it has quietly blended into the background of your routine? Longevity isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about subtracting the very things that weigh you down. It's about letting go of the patterns that strain your body, the habits that slowly erode your health, and the behaviors that take more than they ever give back. The encouraging truth is that you don't need to change everything overnight. Often, the simple act of becoming aware is the very first step towards something better. Maybe today, you choose to move just a little more, to speak up instead of holding back, to rest when you're truly tired, to eat without rushing. Maybe today is the day you let go of just one habit that no longer serves your body, your peace of mind, or your path forward. Because the less you do of what drains you, the more room you create for what restores you. And in that space, life doesn't just become longer, it becomes fuller, richer, and more authentically your own. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one insight that stood out to you and how you plan to put it into practice in your own life. Your thoughts truly matter, and you never know, your story might inspire someone else who is watching right now. Reading your comments gives us the motivation and encouragement to keep creating meaningful content. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could benefit. Your support makes it possible for us to continue bringing you content that informs and inspires. Wishing you good health, happiness, and peace of mind. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's coming next.